It's May 28th, 1453. Emperor Constantine XI knows he will be dead by morning. He knows it. His generals know it. Even his enemies know it. And yet, he does something nobody expects. He throws a banquet. For over 1,000 years, the Byzantine Empire stood as the last wall between the civilized world and total collapse. While Rome crumbled in the west, Constantinople endured. Through plague, civil war, and invasion, it endured. At its peak, the empire stretched from Spain to Mesopotamia, commanding the most sophisticated military, legal, and cultural machine the ancient world had ever produced. But by the spring of 1453, all that remained was a single, exhausted city. The population had collapsed from 400,000 to less than 50,000. The empire's treasury was so empty that Emperor Constantine had melted down church ornaments just to pay his soldiers. And surrounding the city on every side, an Ottoman army of 80,000 men, 69 warships, and the most devastating cannon ever built. This is the story of the last 24 hours of the greatest empire on earth. On the evening of May 28th, Constantine XI gathered his commanders, his nobles, and his priests inside the Hagia Sophia, the greatest cathedral in the Christian world. He knew what was coming. The Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II had already sent his final ultimatum: surrender the city or face total destruction. Constantine refused. Not out of arrogance, not out of delusion. He refused because he understood something deeper, that some things are worth dying for, even when victory is impossible. Standing before his men, he delivered one of the most remarkable speeches in military history. He asked them to remember who they were: descendants of Romans, defenders of Christendom, the last guardians of a civilization that had outlasted every empire on earth. Then he did something almost unbearable in its humanity. He asked forgiveness from every man in the room for anything he had ever done to wrong them. One by one, his commanders embraced him. Many wept openly. Then they went to their positions on the walls and waited for dawn. Across the walls, in the Ottoman camp, Sultan Mehmed II was making his own preparations. At just 21 years old, Mehmed had already proven himself one of the most brilliant military minds of his age. He had spent months studying Constantinople's defenses, the ancient Theodosian walls that had repelled 23 sieges over 1,000 years. His solution was a cannon so large it took 60 oxen and 400 men to move. When it fired, the sound could be heard 15 miles away. On the night of May 28th, Mehmed ordered his army to rest. The final assault would begin before dawn. But first, he walked alone through his camp. According to his chroniclers, he prayed. He meditated. He prepared himself for what history would remember as his defining moment. He was about to do what Attila the Hun, the Arab caliphates, and the Crusaders had all failed to do. He was going to break Constantinople. At 1:30 a.m. on May 29th, 1453, the Ottoman drums began. The first wave hit the walls like a tide. Irregular infantry, poorly armed, sent deliberately to exhaust the defenders. Constantine's men held, barely. The second wave was the Anatolian regulars, better equipped, better trained. They pushed harder. For 2 hours, the defenders repelled everything thrown at them. Then came the Janissaries, the elite of the Ottoman military, fanatically disciplined, utterly fearless. They struck the weakest section of the wall, the Kirkoporta gate, and found it unguarded. A small gap, a forgotten door, left unlocked by accident. In the chaos of battle, someone had failed to bolt it shut. Through that single door, the Janissaries poured into the city. Within minutes, the cry went up along the Byzantine walls. "The city is taken." Constantine XI heard the cry. He tore off his imperial insignia, the purple robes that marked him as Emperor of Rome. He drew his sword, and he charged into the mass of Ottoman soldiers. He was never seen again. His body was never officially identified. The last Roman emperor died as a common soldier, fighting in the streets of his city, anonymous to the end. Mehmed II entered Constant. He rode directly to the Hagia Sophia, the great cathedral that had stood for 916 years. He dismounted at the entrance, picked up a handful of earth, and poured it over his own head, an act of humility before God. Then he walked inside and ordered it converted into a mosque. The fall of Constantinople sent shockwaves across the entire known world. Church bells rang in mourning from London to Moscow. Pope Nicholas V called it a second death of Homer and Plato, as countless ancient manuscripts were burned or lost forever. But the fall also triggered something unexpected. Greek scholars fled west, carrying with them the texts and knowledge of ancient Rome and Greece. Their arrival in Italy poured fuel onto a cultural revolution already beginning to stir. The Renaissance, the very collapse that ended one civilization, helped give birth to the modern world. Constantine XI had no way of knowing this. Standing in the Hagia Sophia on the night of May 28th, asking forgiveness from his weeping commanders, he only knew one thing: the city would fall. But the man could choose how he faced it. Some historians argue the Byzantine Empire never truly died that day, that it lives on in the legal codes of modern Europe, in the Orthodox Church, in the architecture of cities that borrowed from Constantinople's genius. But on the morning of May 29th, 1453, as Mehmed's banner rose over the walls, 1,000 years of empire ended, not with a whimper, with a sword drawn one last time.